show up, huh?
Is there an Andy in the house?
All right, so I just want to talk to everybody about what Homeboys has done for me. You know, like the program, actually working the program. So when I first came to Homeboys, I used to be kind of like against NA classes and all that stuff because I was like, I don't got a drug problem. But I started taking some of the classes, going with homies, supporting them. And I was just in one of them last night. And I'm sitting there and I'm listening to other people talk. And as I'm sitting there listening to them talk, I'm like, man. See, we got different kind of addictions. Different people got different kind of addictions. So it doesn't have to be a drug addiction. It doesn't have to be an alcohol addiction. It's a street addiction. It's the thing about being in the block, being with the homies. That's an addiction too. So as the homie was talking about how he relapsed back into his addiction on drugs, he said the first place he relapsed is going back into the neighborhood. And when he was talking about that, I was just like, okay, I feel you, dog. You know, like in my head, I was just like, all right. And I'm listening to him talk about that, and I'm like, oh, it does. Everything comes from something else, and everything always, like for me, I must say for myself, any kind of other relapsing behaviors I had in the past, it came from something else. And in the Homeboy Industries, we always try to get to the root of the problem, not just look at the problem. So right here in Homeboys, I always love the fact that they don't ask what's wrong with you, but how can we help you? At Homeboys, we ask, how can we get to the root of the problem? If it's therapy, if it's tattoo removal, if it's going to get your GED, if it's whatever is going on in your life. And coming into Homeboy Industries, for me, it was one of those things that I used to be doubtful about Homeboy Industries. I used to, nah, I'm not ready to go. But once I came in, I gave it 100. Once I'm here, I'm asking all you guys, give it 100, dog. You know, if you're here because you want to change. Homeboy doesn't go and pass out flyers and tell people, come and see us. The doors are open, we got you. No, you come in because you want the services. So if you want the services of Homeboy Industries, dog, you're in the right place. If you want to heal from some of the pain, you have to touch your pain again. That's the only way that I've seen that for me it has worked. Going into therapy, being able to get called out of my shit by Hector most of all. You know, he's my supervisor, he's my boss, but he's also the guy that gave me my first chance at Homeboys to actually step it up into court and then to senior. So I'm always have to be grateful to that, even though sometimes we bump heads, we might not agree on something, but I always want to hold that respect for him because he's the one that gave me that chance. He's also the one that told me like, like we need to start living different. And when he told me that, I started looking at stuff. So me, I wasn't one of those that used to like to go anywhere. I used to always think I had to be in the block, or be in my city, doing my thing. And he's like, like open up your mind. And he took me snowboarding. I ain't shit.
Multiple times.
I ain't shit, but my last experience with the snow was High Desert State Prison.
Right.
And going to Big Bear with Hector and just seeing the snow and being able to be there, dog, and just taking the day for what it was, I was just grateful to be in the snow free. And I try never to forget about that. As I come to Homeboys every day, I try to remember some of the things that helped me at Homeboys. And I try to pass it on to the next homies. But what I'm saying is, if you're here for change, give yourself a chance. If you're here to open up the mind to bigger things in your life, if it's a career, if it's trips just to go out of here, your first time in the plane, your first time going back to the snow, free, your first time going to the beach with the homies, free. Everything that Homeboys provides for us that sometimes we take for granted. Because a lot of times I took stuff for granted when I was a trainee. I ain't gonna sit here and bullshit you guys. I used to be like, oh man, that's just part of the program. Let me just go do this so they can leave me alone. But then in the process of that, it was always something behind it. It was always some kind of like teaching or some kind of awakening behind it. And I just want you guys to just be aware of that. Even as you sit in classes, that class you might think is not for you, but the homie might talk about some stuff that's just gonna touch you. Nobody else in that class. So give yourself a chance in those classes. be respectful to one another, because we are here. This building was made because for a long time we're in the streets not respecting ourselves. So start respecting yourself, start respecting the people next to you, and let us show the world that the reason this building is open is because we need the help, but once we get the help, we're able to re-enter back into society and be the members of society that we were intended to be. Father Greg always says, like, you are not the worst thing that you ever done. And I used to actually think shit like that I was the worst thing that I ever done, and I kind of live by that. And I want to tell you, all you guys, once again, you're not the worst thing that you ever done. You're some bad motherfuckers that are going to change your fucking life and go and become the best person you could be in this society.
That's
Thank
right.
you.